James Melendez, James the Wine Guy, just another general vlog. This is going to be about, I think I try to tag them with something because it makes it a little more interesting. So let's start off with, this will be about perfectionism, preferably my own. Because ultimately, what I'm doing and jockeying through so many wine reviews, it's great to do, and maybe my tours when I'm visiting a specific winery or a specific wine region, it's really just task-oriented, it's really mission-oriented. It's not even a breath away from what I'm doing, and take a break and to gather thoughts and bring them together, and gives me a respite, but also an energizing moment just to talk about things. So, I have all these subjects that I want to talk about, and eventually I will, but it's, one of them. Well, let's get started. So, perfectionism. I think that's a really great subject matter because I think sometimes in wine, you look at some scores and 100% would imply perfect. And, at some levels, I'm not really convinced that either that's important or it exists, or both. I think that when you set oneself up to believe that, well, this is a 100-point wine, I've said to myself, I don't think I've ever tasted it, and maybe I never will. Maybe I'm never privileged enough to taste those 100-point wines. But I also think I'm a lot more restrained than maybe some reviewers who have, over time, given a lot of 100 points on everything. And I like to know those defining characteristics. I think everyone would, as opposed to just assuming what it is. And I think that's the part of being a perfectionist is, there you go again, James, is that you're being a perfectionist in your perfectionism or view of perfection. And I think ultimately it's just to, give restraint, to give the best thing that each of us have. And I think that's, one stem of perfectionism. And another part would be just to get things right. Nobody wants to get things wrong. I think most of all, yes, we are human and we do make mistakes, but if you're going to put your best foot forward, put your best foot forward. And so I think that's my learning point, is to sometimes take a breath. And it's, I've made mistakes, who hasn't? But ultimately to get things more often correct than wrong. And in this great tour, in the great month of July, so many different experiences for me. Going to Okanagan Valley, Paso Robles, Napa, going to Santa Barbara, and New Mexico, and so forth. And I think it's been a great journey. And part of that journey is to, keep yourself focused. But part of that journey is to learn about yourself. And when you don't take that opportunity to learn about yourself or recognize what you've learned, it's probably a better way of saying that, is I think you miss out. So travel, no matter how much you think you're prepared or how much I think I'm really prepared, I have my checklist, and guess what? I always forget something. And part of me is like, when I forget something, it kind of lingers through the whole trip. And you're just like, this is not the way it should be. I shouldn't be thinking about this so often. I shouldn't be dwelling on something so often. I should actually try to regroup. And I think on this trip, say to Okanagan Valley, I didn't bring my preferred video camera. That's okay. I made do with what I had, but I had redundancies. And ultimately it worked out really well. So just a general vlog, it's just to have some conversation points. And I think in some ways I'm a recovering perfectionist. I don't think you ever not become one, or don't, that you stop becoming a perfectionist. I think maybe a few people have, and maybe that's another level of perfectionism, is that you're perfecting everything you do, including the non-perfection part of you. But I think it's really, when you look for perfection, I have a saying, which is, if you look for excellence, what does excellence look like? Well, for everyone, for each individual, excellence is a state of mind that nobody can quite understand another person's view of excellence. But I think that doesn't take away from wine review. It doesn't take away from the experience. It just really carefully delineates what one thing is and what it isn't, and also not to be wound up or bound up in those things as well. So sometimes I give my own self a lesson. So thank you so much for watching, and more general vlogs to come. And I was also in VidCon in the past 6 weeks, so a great learning from that as well. So stay tuned for more to come, more general vlogs, but also wine reviews and other subject matter reviews in this great world of wine. And occasionally I'll do a video, which I have, on coffee and whiskey and gin and so forth. So stay tuned for more. Salud.